Good morning and welcome to another proud presentation of the QBL Game of the Week by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. As always, my name is Regan Baker and I'm joined by John Guana in the commentary booth as we bring you the Game of the Week between the Brisbane Capitals and the Rocky Cyclones. And John, it's the first time we've seen the Rocky Cyclones this season so far, and my first time seeing the Brisbane Capitals as well. So it could be quite an interesting matchup here coming into the weekend, because Rocky's been having a very mixed season so far, but they've got some incredible depth in terms of their team. And, you know, when you've got players on their team scoring, you know, double digits every single game, you've got players averaging over 20 points per game. I mean, Brisbane's going to have their work cut out for them, but Brisbane's been a pretty good and consistent team throughout the season as well. Yeah,
Rockhampton comes into this morning's game on the third game of their triple header. They split the first two, dropped a really tough one against the Spartans on Friday night, and then bounced back with a huge win last night, 78-55 over the North Gold Coast. And you mentioned it, Regan, they do have very well-balanced attack, led by Aaron Ellenberg, Shanavia Dowdell. You also have Christina Bogue. And then let's talk about Brooke Blair also averaging double figures. So it is a really high-powered Rockhampton team that comes into this game against the Capitals. The Capitals' record isn't probably where they want to be. They're at 5-7. They are pretty consistent, like you mentioned. They had a huge win against Toowoomba last night. It was over early, so they were able to play a bit of their bench. So they should be pretty fresh as well, backing up onto this. They've also added another import as well. So it's going to be a different team from the last time that we saw the Capitals. Adding new players to your group at this stage in the season, it could have a positive effect. It could have a negative effect. Both teams have added new faces, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens today. Rockhampton, though, with a lot of confidence coming into this one. Yeah, definitely so, and I'm going to be really interested to see who matches up from the Capitals on Dowdell. I mean, she's coming into tonight's game. She scored a season-high 40 points versus Gladstone, so she can absolutely drop the pill. So I think she's going to be one of the big players that Capitals are going to need to come out and mark, and Ellenberg as well. But going back down the other end as well, Capitals have some really good young talent on their side as well. So if Rockhampton's not ready to run, they could find themselves in a little bit of trouble. Because when you got the likes of Akila Bethel and Maddie Woodford, I mean, two quite young but very, very talented players on the floor. They can run, they can gun, get inside, shoot long drops as well. So there is a very different depth of talent between both teams. So either way, it's going to be a great game here, and I think both teams have their work cut out for them this morning. 100% agree with you, Regan. Maddie Woodford, traditionally for the Capitals, will get the opposition's best player. She's going to have her hands full today if she's guarding Ellenberg, because Ellenberg is a jet. She can get up and down the court really fast. She can shoot from outside. She can dribble drive. She's also not just scoring for herself, she's creating for teammates. So it should be a really good matchup today. I'm excited. Yeah, I can't wait. Like I said, this is the first time I've seen both of these teams this season. And there's a couple of names that have been tracking on the stats throughout as well. So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen. And here we go with the tip as well. And there is a big height advantage for the Cyclones straight off the bat. So Rocky does win the tip to start out with. And we go straight into the corner for that wide three. A little bit too strong from Blair, though, with Capitals coming down with the boards. Yeah, Blair, that's what Blair's here to do. She's here to shoot the ball. You cannot leave her open. She didn't hit that one, but I guarantee you she'll take that again if you give it to her. Yeah, she's going to take that shot all day, and if Brisbane doesn't get out on that wide defense, because it doesn't matter whether it's in the corner or at the top of the three-point line, she's proven throughout this season that she can drop them from anywhere. Yeah, she certainly has, and it's going to be a tough matchup for the Capitals. I thought Woodford might get the Ellenberg assignment. She doesn't have it. She's guarding Blair. Yeah, which is probably not a bad matchup either as well. They're both similar height, both similar talent scouts as well, as we see another long shot there from Ellenberg. A little bit too strong again. But I don't mind that matchup between Ellenberg and Woodford. I think that's going to be quite an interesting one to watch throughout the game. Yeah, we'll see. It's, at the moment, both teams looking to find a shot to fall. Coming out a little cool. It's a little cool here in Brisbane this morning. And the shooting is replicating that. It's very cold at the moment. Yeah, it's been a little bit cool all weekend, really, and that's a much better play from the Cyclones, getting the ball on the inside and going straight to work underneath. So that's a much better start with Dowdell putting the first points on the board. Yeah, that's just going to be a very difficult matchup. Dowdell is a difficult matchup for everyone across the QBL, but Brisbane doesn't necessarily have the size inside to match up. As we see, Lewis taking a bit of a long shot of her own, getting another 2 points on the board for Brisbane. Yeah, Lewis didn't play much last night. Not sure what that was about. I don't know if it was about the game itself, as Dowdell takes it outside. But she's very well rested and coming out firing. Yeah, I think Victoria Aldridge's going to have a bit of a tough matchup there on Dowdell, because there is obviously a bit of a size advantage from Dowdell, and she's got a lot of body strength as well. So
you know, Dowdell's just doing great on both ends of the court. She's pulling boards and she's hitting some awesome shots as well. So that's going to be a tough matchup and something to keep an eye on as Blair, nice little shot fake with the left-hand drive into the bucket for 2.
Hey, Blair, you got to respect the jump shot from Blair. She uses that little hesitation to get herself an easy 2. Good start here from Rockhampton, Regan. They're doing it well, very well on the defensive side of things, and now their shots are starting to fall. Really looking to get Dowdell involved. There's Ellenberger. She's misses, and then there's a foul called on the floor.
Yeah, a bit of an unfortunate missed layup there from Ellenberg, but again, Dowdell's just all over the floor. She got herself down there for that 3-on-2 advantage. She got inside, she got the rebound, and she's going to pick up the foul. She may be shooting. I think there's a little bit of confusion between the referees, but she will go to the line for 2 shots as well. So again, Dowdell's just getting herself where she needs to be. And if Brisbane can't find a way to prevent her from getting on any kind of streak, they could be in a little bit of trouble. Because, I mean, like I said, Dowdell, she can drop 40 points in a game. So if she gets hot, she's not just hot, she's boiling.
Yeah, and again, she's versatile. We saw it on a couple of possessions early, getting an easy bucket right at the rim, then taking it out to the top of the key and able to hit from deep as well. So she's not just an inside player.
No, definitely not. She goes 1 from 2 from the line on that occasion as Aldred goes against Dowdell down the other end of the court with a nice left-handed finger roll.
Yeah, that's a good take there from Aldred. She, if she can be aggressive and cause a bit of problems for Dowdell on that end, you know, maybe pick up a couple of cheap fouls on Dowdell, it could be a difference in this game.
Yeah, definitely so. They seem to be Rockhampton concentrating a little bit too much on the referees. They're not fighting for the rebound as quickly as what they should have. But again, Rocky going on the inside and Dowdell just nice, easy bucket from the paint.
That's just beautiful footwork there from Dowdell. Really tough catch with a lot of traffic and able to step her way through to the easy 2.
And down the other end now, Capitals got just under 6 seconds on the shot clock. And Bethel goes baseline. Ball getting knocked out of bounds, and Rockhampton going to come out with the advantage on that occasion.
Bethel really just forced that one. That was probably not the shot that the coach was looking for, Bronwyn Marshall. But nonetheless, it's a good take, and a really nice take on the other end by Blair, finishing with the reverse layup.
Yeah, that was a beautiful shot.
After that kind of rocky start from the Cyclones, they've really started to pull away a bit. They've opened up this 8-point lead, Regan, and getting nice contributions from everybody, really being led by Dowdell at the moment.
Yeah, well, Dowdell's on 8 so far, and she's 3 from 3 from the field, so she's definitely having a really good start to the game as well. I think Capitals just having a little bit of difficulty in breaking Rockhampton's defense at the moment. Most of their possessions have come down into single digits on the shot clock, and they're not necessarily getting off the kind of shots that they would want to be seeing. As we see a wide open Dowdell from the top of the 3-point line, a little bit too strong, but inside play there with an unsportsmanlike foul getting called. I can't see who it was that was hit.
That was Bogue.
Yeah, so big hit there. Nice take on the rebound, though, as well from Bogue. Really fighting to get her possession on the inside with the good take and the unsportsmanlike foul getting called.
Yeah, and that's a tough start here from the Capitals. Coach Marshall is going to take a timeout, so we'll take one as well. About 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. Rocky is up 14-4. Head back shortly.
And back with you here from NAB Stadium in Auchenflower for the QBL Game of the Week. Just seen a big unsportsmanlike foul called against Bogue. She did make the bucket as well, so to try and take that amount of contact, still make the points and go to the line for an extra shot. Bogue doing a really good job on the inside as well. And this Rockhampton team they've come here to play. It's their third game of the weekend, but they're still doing a really, really good job out on the floor.
They certainly are, and that's just persistence there from Bogue, keeping the play alive, keeping active, even when your team misses a shot. We saw about a second or two before that, they were standing around and looking at the rebound, and Bogue just becoming a little more proactive there. It was a hard foul. We talked a little bit about it in the break, Regan. I thought it might have been a bit harsh, but you like the call simply because it sets the tone early?
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, the reality is the rule for unsportsmanlike foul is either not playing the ball or heavy contact, and that was borderline heavy contact. So as we were discussing off air, it could have gone 50-50. They could have left it as a normal foul, and I would have been okay with that. But I like the fact that the referees are setting the precedence early. So as long as that level of contact is called consistently unsportsmanlike throughout the game, I'm 100% happy with that because it means we're going to have a clean, good game of basketball.
And it is a really good start here for Rockhampton. Caps looking to get on track.
Yeah, that was a really nice shot fake there from the captain, Lewis, as well. Just faking out, I think it was Taylor Evans, the defender, and then just that nice single step inside for the jumper.
And pace picking up here a bit. Looks like Caps trying to get the pace up.
I think Caps are going to need to pick the pace up as well because a slow game at the moment is really advantaging Rockhampton. It's allowing them to get their set plays. It's allowing them to get inside. Capitals need to play a little bit faster to try and shake off this Rockhampton team. It is their third game of the weekend. Their legs are probably already a little bit tired, especially when they do rely quite heavily on, 3 or 4 of their starting 5 for a lot of minutes throughout the game. Wear them down, and Brisbane has a chance to get themselves back into this.
Yeah, missing layups like that from Bogue isn't going to help. They're lucky they have the lead, but she recovers with the steal.
Yeah, it was a good recovery play there from Bogue. She missed a layup, fought hard to get it back again, missed another layup again, unfortunately. So Bogue not having a great 1-minute passage of play there, unfortunately, but she's a fighter as well, so she's going to find a way to get herself back in and scoring again. Nice inside look there from Lewis down the other end of the floor. Bethel just unable to finish, and Rockhampton going to get the ball back on that advantage.
And both teams going to the bench. Woodford checks back in, and we're going to see Ashanti Plummer for the first time for the Capitals, and Chloe Morrow checks in for Christina Bogue and Rockhampton. Coach Mudger is going to really run with his starters. They're going to play big minutes today unless it gets away from them or from the Capitals early.
Nice little set jump shot there, and I think that's part of the point I was making before, Johnny, is I think Muggeridge is going to really use that starting 5 because they are his big point scorers. We've got 3 of his starting 5 all averaging more than double digits, 2 of those which are averaging 20 points a game. So he is going to rely quite heavily on that starting 5 unless their legs start wearing down and he feels he needs to get some fresh legs in to compete with a fast Capitals team.
Yeah, well, both teams really had an opportunity to rest last night. They were blowout wins. Caps took down Toowoomba 99-41, and that one was over within the first quarter. Just keeping it real, Regan. The North Gold Coast one was a little bit closer for Rockhampton, but they had that one in control early as well. So able to really rest up and focus. And at the moment, it's really Rockhampton who seems to be the fresher of the two teams.
Yeah, it definitely seems so. I think Rockhampton, they're a little bit more set in the way that they're playing their game at the moment. As we see a nice shot there coming from...
That's from Plummer, a nice left-handed jump shot. First time we're seeing her for the Capitals.
I've got the wrong number for her on my sheet. That's why I'm getting a little bit confused. I thought it was Plummer, but she's wearing 2, and my sheet says 23. But Brisbane still down by 12 at the moment, but definitely showing a lot more aggression in the game so far. As we come down the other end again, an unfortunate foul they called on Plummer. She did a relatively good job to get into position, just that slight bump on the side. So she picks up a foul early on. And Ellenberg going to go to the line for a couple of shots.
Ellenberg, she's not had too many points on the board, but she's been really impressive, really engaged on both sides of the court. And you see when she's got the ball in her hands, she's electric. She's pretty quick with it. Certainly shown that she could shoot from outside, and that time just making her way to the bucket, absorbing the contact. Wasn't able to finish, but hits the first free throw. And now the second.
Well, she's definitely a player that you don't want to send to the free throw line too often, Johnny, because I've just looked down at the stats in front of me. She's averaging 91.5% free throw average. That is massive coming out of any basketball competition.
And she's not going to miss too often when you send her to the charity stripe. And it should be like 3 points. And when Ellenberg steps to the line, you're pretty much guaranteed she's going to drop them.
Yeah, definitely so. She's been having an outstanding season from the free throw line. Shooting 44% from the field as well. So she's been having a relatively good season from the field, but especially a player that you don't want to send to the free throw line. But it is 8:22, so there is a 14-point gap as we see Capitals desperately trying to put some points on the board. A little bit too strong on that occasion from Michaela King. Come down the other end, and Brooke Blair, she takes another long three-point jumper, and it bounces around a little bit and manages to find the bottom of the net.
Hey, you would think this is our home court. You got the home court roll on that one, but that's that follow-through that they teach you from a young kid. You keep that hand held high, that follow-through got it home.
Yeah, I miss my old cookie jar back when I was playing some basketball. Always got to have the hand in the cookie jar.
That's right.
Ooh, a bit of a hesitation step there from Woodford. Couldn't quite get the layup to land. Blair now with a fast break opportunity, dishes off to Ellenberg, and Ellenberg a little bit too soft. Dell fighting for the board, and again, just another miss on the inside as well. Amy Lewis coming down with the board for the Capitals, and she goes coast to coast with a big block from Dell.
Yeah, that was a nice block there from Dell. Lewis had the head of steam up and running, and this is a nice pass inside. Evans can't finish, but she gets the O board and finishes through the contact. That's a nice play there from Taylor Evans. She's been a quiet achiever for Rockhampton in the mix of everything so far this morning.
Yeah, Rockhampton just looking like a much more complete team at the moment. They're playing a really good team game of basketball. They're finding those open players, and they've got some really good offensive movement as well, as we see Plummer on the inside for Capitals. But I think that's the big thing that Rocky has going for them at the moment, is they do have such a good team culture. They're passing the ball. They kind of just know where the players are going to be, and they can find them on the inside run like we saw in that previous play. As Blair goes for another deep three, Capitals with a couple of players on the run as well. So I think that's something that the Capitals are going to have to try and shake up. They're going to need to find a way to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit stronger defensively, because at the moment, Rockhampton, they're just finding the gaps and they're punishing them for it.
And I'd like to see Brisbane try and make it a little messier, kind of junk it up a bit to give themselves a couple of cheap baskets, because at the moment they're struggling in the half court in particular. Rockhampton doing a good job taking away the transition opportunities. I think the Caps probably just need to force some of their own transition buckets by trying to get a little more aggressive defensively and get a couple cheap buckets to get the confidence levels up.
Yeah, definitely so. It was Dowdell wide open from the three-point line. Can't quite find the bottom of the net. Amy Lewis again coming down with another board. She's been having a great game defensively on the boards. And I think Capitals are going to get to hold here for the last shot, but Plummer goes in and picks up the foul as well. So Plummer's going to go for the line for two.
That's a good foul there on Chloe Morrow. No easy buckets. Even though you're up 17, you still want to make it difficult for the opposition. Was nothing dirty in it. It was clearly a foul, though.
Yeah, definitely so. And I don't think Chloe quite meant to hit her as much as she did. She looked like Plummer just surprised her a little bit with the direction that she went in. But again, from Plummer, it's good to see that aggression and that direct drive to the basket as well. Because, as you said, I think the Capitals do need to play a little bit more dirty basketball, in the sense that they just need to stop playing so obvious, in a sense, I suppose. They just need to find ways to really shake up Rockhampton's defense and find the open passages of play on the inside, because at the moment Rocky's D is all over the Capitals and they're not able to find any easy buckets. They've had to work for all 11 points as we come down to the final second, and Ellenberg tries to get over Plummer, but Plummer says no with the big block to end the quarter. It's a 27-11 lead. Rockhampton Cyclones with a healthy 16-point margin going into the first.
Yeah, that was a nice block there and a bit of momentum going into the break for the Capitals. It was not really pretty for them, but they have that positive play to take into the break and hopefully help them lift the energy levels for the second quarter.
Yeah, definitely so. So Capitals got a bit of work to do in the second quarter here, but that is the break. So we're going to take a quick rest as well, but we'll be back with you shortly for more QBL Game of the Week action presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And welcome back to NAB Stadium in Auchenflower for your QBL Game of the Week. It's the Rockhampton Cyclones 27 leading the Brisbane Capitals on 11. And what a great start Rocky has had in this game. Led by Brooke Blair and Shanavia Dowdell, both scoring quite high. Blair on 10 points, Dowdell on 8. They've been having great games so far. And Capitals got a lot of work to do in order to get themselves back into this one, Johnny.
They sure do. Capitals didn't have their greatest quarter in that one. They only shot 26% from the field. And right away they come out with a three-pointer to start the quarter.
Yeah, that's definitely the kind of start that they need, and hopefully they can take the momentum from that three bomb and just manage to string a couple of passages of play together. But this is an all-important stop as we see Dowdell going on the inside roll. A little bit too strong, and Plummer coming down with the board. That's exactly what the Capitals needed, and now they just need to capitalize down the other end.
Yeah, start with the stop and see if you can slowly chip away at this Rockhampton lead.
Plummer being aggressive on the rebound there off the missed three-point shot from Neves. And Neves going to go again, a little bit too short again on the three-point. And Ellenberg going to come down with the board for Rockhampton. So Rocky going to try and stop that momentum from the Capitals as Ellenberg takes the long two, they're going to call that, with a nice little swish ball.
Better fix my score up. I gave it a 3. I thought it was a 3.
I thought it was a 3 as well, Johnny. But it must have just had a toenail or something on the line on that one.
So it's a good response, though, from Rockhampton after that really solid start from Brisbane. Just a nice response there from Ellenberg, stepping out and hitting the long two.
Yeah, there's a foul called on the inside there against the Cyclones. I think they signaled that against Dowdell, so she picks up a foul early in the second quarter here. Woodforth with it at the top of the three-point line. Brisbane passing the ball around quite nicely with the open drive down the baseline, but a little bit too strong. But Maddie Woodford going on the inside with the board for the 2.
Yeah, it's a great play there from Woodford, just following the play, getting a cheap bucket. She's a really big contributor for Brisbane, so they need her to get going.
Yeah, and being aggressive on the boards like that from Woodford is going to be key in that as well, because if she can fight her way inside and get those putbacks consistently, that's going to go a long way to increasing this, closing this gap.
Yeah, and that's a turnover there from Plummer. Made her move before she put the ball on the floor. It's a turnover. And those are the ones that kind of hurt you a bit, Regan. You have a bit better energy. You start the quarter off a little bit better. And then you turn the ball over with an opportunity to chip away at the lead. So,
yeah, it is unfortunate for the Capitals. And Rockhampton's gone back to some of their starters as well. So we see Bogue checking back in. Yeah, and turnover straight off the bat from Blair as well. And Plummer that would be Bethel going to the inside drive and getting the foul on the way to the bucket. So, again, nice aggressive play from Capitals.
It was a nice aggressive trap as well. That's what I thought they might try to do, try and throw a little bit of trap, maybe a bit of pressure as well, force a few Rockhampton turnovers, get a couple easy ones, just to kind of pick the pace up a little bit, throw a couple different looks and try to change the course of this game. They're down 15 already. It's 2 minutes into the third. If the Caps aren't careful and they can't kind of right it, it could be over soon.
Yeah, well, I hope they keep doing this trap as well, because I don't know about you, but I don't recall a lot of teams running a trap in the QBL this year. They haven't been doing it anywhere near as much as I would have expected. It might be a little bit different in the men's league. I'm not paying as much attention because I'm doing the panel. But I know in the women's, there hasn't been that much up-court trap, and there hasn't been aggressive defense like we just saw as consistently. So if Brisbane can get that trap working, and they can get a couple of turnovers, that could definitely be a force to be reckoned with, because we've seen it work very well in some of the men's league teams. I know that I think it was the Southern Districts game we saw where there was a very good trap consistently, and they were getting lots of points off it. So let's see if Brisbane can keep that up.
Yeah, one of the women's teams that we've seen quite a bit of this season, Regan, is the Pirates, and they quite often will go to a trap, more of a full court press as opposed to a trap, but they certainly do drop back into a trap when the option presents itself. So it is something that teams probably have in their bag. They may not want to break it out so often, but we do see it every now and then. And the Capitals on that previous one ran it really well and forced the turnover.
Ellenberg now with it on the three-point line. Rocky, again, really good offensive movement as Dowdell spins into the keyway and can't quite get a shot off. There's 2 seconds on the shot clock, so Blair's going to need to get to work. She dishes out, and the long shot there from Bogue, a little bit too strong, but Dowdell fighting hard on the inside for the board. And Blair, once again, going to work from deep in the 3, dropping the long one over Raquel Spies.
That's a killer, that one. You nearly force a shot clock violation. Dowdell grabs the offensive rebound, kicks it out for a 3. It's a huge swing.
Yeah, that hurts, unfortunately, for the Capitals. It's when you really do have to fight for every single defensive board, because that's the last thing you want, is to work hard on defense for that 24 seconds and then give them another 14 to try and get some points.
What a pass. I don't know if Clifford was going for Bogue on that one. It looked like it might have been intended for Dowdell. Nonetheless, Bogue drains it, and it's a 20-point lead now for Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky's offense is just absolutely beautiful to watch at the moment. They're doing a really good job in finding the open player and just moving the ball around. And that looked like it might have slipped out of her hands there, but hey, at the end of the day, Bethel managed to pick it up and get the points.
And Caps will take it any way they can at the moment. That one definitely slipped out of Lewis's hands, but went right to Bethel for the lay-in.
Ellenberg stepping into the long 3. A little bit too strong, though, and bouncing out. Bethel with it now. Looks like she might go coast to coast, but hands off to Plummer. And Plummer can't quite get the dunny roll in her favor, but Woodford fighting for the O-board.
Yeah, great hustle again from Woodford. That's a tough pass. Aldred finds Lewis. And I think the Rockhampton Cyclones will be happy for the Capitals to keep shooting jump shots. They need to get that action to the basket to try and get a couple easy ones.
Yeah, and again, Brisbane's offense just looks a little bit broken. They're taking long shots. Every single possession they've had on the inside has been taken over, almost at least 2 players. So their offense is a little bit broken. They just need to find a better way of getting the open layups on the inside, not having to jump and take as many jumpers. But we do have a timeout on the floor now, so we're going to take a quick break as well. But we'll be back with you with more QBL action shortly. Back with you here at NAB Stadium. It's 18:36, and the Brisbane Capitals got a little bit of work to do to find their way back into this game. John, what do you think they're going to be talking about at this timeout, and how they're going to bring themselves back into competition with this one?
Well, first of all, they need to get stops. They're allowing Rockhampton to shoot the ball at a pretty solid clip. Rockhampton has 36 points on 40% shooting, but they're doing it also on the glass. 8 offensive rebounds. It's a team effort. It's got to be a team effort from Brisbane. It's going to be really difficult to keep players like Dowdell and Bogue off the offensive glass. And those opportunities, those are stops that then the Capitals can rip a rebound down and chip away at their deficit. So look to control the glass. And I think, again, I'll say it, but I really do expect them to come out with a little more pressure and try and force some quick, easy turnovers.
Yeah, and I think this passage of play just pretty much sums up how I felt about most of the game. Is Rocky's defense is incredibly strong. Brisbane wasn't spread out enough on that occasion. We saw 3 gold players inside the paint, and Rocky just had it so easy to defend them. It did end up in a foul on that occasion, so Woodford is going to go to the line for a couple of shots. But Brisbane isn't spreading their offense out. They're not actually giving themselves an opportunity to get open spaces in the middle. They're clumping up. They're trying to be aggressive and get to the basket, but they're not playing sensible offense and actually spreading the floor and finding open lanes.
And that's definitely one of the issues as well. I do think something that will help the Capitals is to try to force a few turnovers to get a couple easy buckets. I keep saying it, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's an opportunity for them. They need to get some transition offense going because the half court just is not working for them.
And it's not like Brisbane doesn't have a good offense either. I mean, one thing that I have been really impressed about, considering the point spread, Capitals only have 5 turnovers, which means that they are controlling the pill. They're protecting it. They've got good offensive movement in the sense that they know how to protect the ball. And, you know, they're taking a good number of shots as well. I think they've taken about 30 shots now to Rocky's 35. So they're shooting the ball well. They're protecting the ball. It's just about taking the right shots and spreading their offense and actually just looking for the open lanes.
And if you're a Caps fan, you'd be happy with that. That foul went against Blair. So you're not happy that Blair picks up the foul, but it's the 5th team foul on Rockhampton. So Caps shooting free throws from here on out for the rest of the quarter.
Yeah, and I think that is a good sign of Caps' aggression on the paint as well, because they have been trying to drive on the inside. They've been drawing those fouls. So Capitals will be happy with that. Rocky got a little bit of work to do on their defense at the moment. They started out well in the first, just getting a little bit lazy with their hands, but at the same time, Capitals being really smart and actually intentionally playing their offense at the Rockhampton players and drawing those fouls.
Let's see if Rocky can take advantage here.
Nice little step-up jumper there from Ellenberg. Just a little bit too far to the left, and that bounces out. Capitals coming down with the board on the run. Woodford, aggressive drive on the inside, but tries to shoot over 3 players. Bethel coming down with the O board, tries the putback, getting, I think there might have been a little bit of a block there as well. So Capitals are going to come back down with the possession.
Yeah, Clifford just holding her ground, getting the stand-up block. Excuse me, that was Chloe Morrow with the block. Looks like another timeout, though, Regan, on the floor. So we'll take one as well. It's a 17-point lead for Rockhampton, 36-19 with about 4:20 to go in the first half. Watching QBL basketball presented to you by Nothing But Net Media.
And back with you here at NAB Stadium in Auchenflower. It's a 1936 advantage for the Rockhampton Cyclones on your QBL Game of the Week. It's Capitals ball on the baseline. Got a little bit of work to do on the inside. It looks like they've got a set line play going. So hopefully this can benefit the Capitals and they can start getting some points on the board.
I think it's a sign of a really good team if you can score on your sideline or baseline out of bounds plays. Caps can't convert on that one, but Woodford with another offensive rebound.
It was definitely a much better looking play there from the Capitals, though. They may have not got the points. Bethel shot a little bit too strong. But Capitals are looking much better offensively coming out of that timeout. They did end up getting the points there as well, with Victoria Aldred going to the nice little jump shot. But that passage of play was much, much better. So obviously whatever was discussed during the break from Coach Marshall had an impact, because that was a much better spread of players. They took the right shots. They didn't go in for the first 2 shots, but it was a much better passage of play.
And that was a nice take there by Evans. Evans just has played in this competition for a while. Looks like Ellenberg is a little shaken up. Let's hope that she's okay. Don't know if she took a knock or if it's an ankle or knee or something, but she's bent over on the sideline, a little shaken up. Let's hope she's okay. That'd be a really tough loss for Rockhampton.
Yeah, I think she might either be winded or she seems to keep holding her nose, so she might have got a bit of a bump to the face or something, and may just be in a bit of pain in behind her eyes and in her nose. So hopefully she's okay, and we'll see her back out on the floor again, because I'd love to see her play out this game. But back on the floor with you, it's 21-38. Capitals with it now in the corner with 3 seconds to shoot on the shot clock. That shot from Bethel, way too soft, hitting nothing but the front of the rim.
Yeah, Frampton now on the court for the first time this morning, and she draws the foul.
Yeah, that one going against Woodford. She looks a little bit baffled by that one. It was a bit of a soft call, but at the end of the day, if you're going to have that hand on the side with that hand check, I mean, the referees are eventually going to call it. You can't have it on for that long.
Let's see who can run the show with Ellenberg on the sideline for Rockhampton. There's another trap and another turnover forced by the Capitals. They got the 3-on-2. Lewis loses it, recovers, puts up the jump shot, which is short.
Yeah, that was a tough passage of play from Lewis. I really would have liked to see some points there to reward them for that great stop passage of play, because that was a really nice trap. Both players stepping up, keeping perfect defensive stance and keeping their hands out for the foul. So it would have been nice to see Lewis rewarded with the points, but not quite happening on that occasion.
And then she gets called for the personal foul on the other end. That one's going to go against Amy Lewis as Taylor Evans was trying to drive past her to the baseline.
I think there's going to be a warning against Amy Lewis on that occasion as well. Not happy that she picked up the foul down that end, but there was nothing called down the other. I mean, we're a fairly long way away from the floor, but I thought the strip on Amy Lewis on that shot looked okay, but Lewis definitely not happy with that one. So she'll pick up a player warning. It's Rocky's ball out of bounds in a 21-38 point game. See Dowdell on the inside kicking out for the three-point shot. A little bit too strong from Bogue, but Dowdell once again going to work in the paint and going back for the put back. Also too strong. She eventually finds the net.
Yeah, she's just really tough inside. She's big, she's strong. It's just a really difficult matchup, and it's not just for the Capitals. She's caused problems for everyone across the QBL in her few seasons here.
She's just trying to get her rebound stats up. That's all that is. She just wants her board stats so she can get a double-double.
She averages, let's have a quick look. Dowdell averages a double-double, 20 points and 10 rebounds. There's another offensive rebound and put back.
Huge offensive rebound on that occasion as well. Seeing Aldred hit the deck as well. So the lead back out to 21 for the Cyclones. Capitals needing to get to work. We're under 2 minutes to go in the second quarter. See Aldred almost step up for the jump shot. Nice little dish off. Cunt inside. Ball out to Lewis on the wing, and she fires. Much better offensive passage of play from the Capitals.
Very good passage of play. Like you said, Regan, they moved the ball around the perimeter, got it inside, and then skipped it cross court for Lewis. Then Aldred gets called for the personal blocking on Dowdell.
Yeah, that's a much better looking Capitals team down their offensive end, John. We've seen it over the last couple of passages of play. When the ball hits 5 or 6 sets of hands, they get rewarded with the points. When they rush it down the floor and maybe make 1 or 2 passes before taking a way overcrowded shot on the inside, they're not getting rewarded. So maybe I should take up coaching after this. I could be an SBL coach.
I wouldn't do that to yourself if I were you. I would not do it to myself.
I feel like I'd get text just because I'm friends with all the referees. They'd find any excuse to get some back at me.
Payback.
Exactly. As Dell goes 2 from the line.
Yeah, 1 of 2, so the lead is out to 20 for Rockhampton. Approaching about a minute to go in the half. Bethel, nice aggressive take. And I'd like to see a little more of that as well, Regan. Like you said earlier, you mentioned it, spread out the Rockhampton defense and look to attack on the dribble. I'd be trying to go at Dowdell and trying to get her into a bit of foul trouble. She's really the one who's causing Brisbane absolute fits. She's got 12 points and 10 rebounds already in the half. So Brisbane's showing at the moment that they have no one to stop her. Maybe the best thing is to try and get her into some foul trouble and make her sit on the bench.
Well, definitely so. I mean, she's only on 1 foul at the moment, so there would be nothing wrong with driving it at her. I mean, I don't mind the Capitals girls being aggressive and driving directly at the Rockhampton players. The issue that they've had in the first probably 15 minutes of play is that they're driving into 3 players. And a referee is not going to reward you with a foul if you're driving in the middle of 3 players, because chances are they're good and your offense isn't. But one-on-one attack, straight at Dowdell, drawing those fouls, getting yourself to the line. I think that's a smart passage of play. Get her into a little bit of foul trouble. Make her sit on the bench like Blair is at the moment, because Blair's on 3 personal fouls, and look where she is. You know, so if you can get Dowdell sitting down as well, you're going to find yourself in a much better offensive and defensive position.
Caps not really helping themselves either, though, Regan, from the free throw line. They're only 3 of 9. That's, 6 points may not sound like much, but it certainly is. And then they got Taylor Evans for the defensive foul. I think Ashanti Plummer, if she had the referee's whistle, would have dished out a tech there. she signaled for the tech, but that's going to put
I think the warning is fair on that occasion, though. We gave Lewis a warning to play about 2 plays before, so I think it's only fair that Rocky gets a player warning in return. So both teams on the wire now for their behaviour, so hopefully we don't see this game ending in a technical foul, because I don't really want to see it there. It's been, like it may be a bit of a one-sided fight at the moment with Rocky sort of breaking away, but it's still been a good fight out on the floor, so I don't want to see it end in technicals. And again, Capitals really struggling from the free throw line, not managing to find string 2 free throws together back to back. So a little bit tough from Capitals, especially if they're going to get themselves into a position where Cyclones have been on 5 team fouls since I think around about the 4th minute into the quarter, and yet Capitals haven't taken advantage of that and actually benefited from it.
Well, they definitely have not. They're starting to get a few more stops. But plays like that where you just throw it away, trying to force it up the court in transition, those are killers. They're not helping themselves at the moment, the Capitals, not just from the free throw line, but taking care of the pill as well. Yeah,
they're doing some really nice defensive work. We've seen a couple of up-court traps. We've seen some good steals. We've seen some good defense. But they're not rewarding themselves by getting down the other end and putting the ball in the hole. And that makes it hard for a team when you work that hard defensively to not see it benefited on the scoreboard.
Yeah, that was a great look there from Dowdell to Bogue, but a good recovery by the Caps, stripping it out of bounds. Rocky's got 13 seconds to go on the shot clock.
So ball inbounded. Frampton, it kicks it over to Evans. Evans takes the 3-point shot, not quite finding the bottom of the net, and Capitals will get the ball with 20 seconds to go in the quarter.
Yeah, they'll hold for the final shot of the half. Got to think it's going to be Lewis or Bethel getting this look.
Shot clock down to single digits now as we see the strong drive on the inside with Neves drawing the foul, and she's going to go to the line for 2 with 5 and a bit seconds to go in the second. And that was a very good opportunity to drive down. Like I said, you drive one-on-one, you get the foul. You look aggressive, you make that move. And the advantage that Brisbane had is they did pass the ball around a couple of times around the outside and spread out the Rocky players.
Yeah, they certainly did, Regan. They spread the floor really well on that one. Got a ball reversal to Neves, and then she just shot the gap and rewarded with a couple free throw opportunities.
Yeah, well, Neves makes the first, so hopefully she can make the second, and she does. So Neves goes 2 from 2, and we've got a couple of seconds on the clock, but that pass probably a little bit too ambitious for Evans to get it in a good position to take a shot. So we go into the halftime break. It's 27-43, the Rockhampton Cyclones with a strong 16-point advantage going into the half. But Capitals doing a good job to not let the lead get away from them, because from memory, I think it was 16 points going into the quarter-time break as well. So they've held, but they just haven't quite had the opportunity to break that lead.
No, they haven't been able to do that yet. Rockhampton took their punch and responded pretty well. The game is certainly in Rockhampton's control at the moment. Capitals, though, with an opportunity. They're not out of it just yet. They certainly want to have a better start to the second half than what they had in the first half to give themselves a chance to get back into this one, Regan.
Yeah, definitely so. I think the Capitals just need to recognize that, that quarter, they were exactly on par. It was 16 points apiece in that quarter. So if Capitals can do that again, string together another couple of stop passages of play and actually capitalize down the other end, they're going to start breaking away this lead. And if they can go into the three-quarter time break 10, 12 points down, they could have a really strong fourth quarter and get themselves back into this game. So we'll wait and see. But that is the halftime break. So we're going to take a quick rest. It's 43-27 on your QBL Game of the Week, presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And back with you here at NAB Stadium in Auchenflower for your QBL Game of the Week. We've been watching the Rockhampton Cyclones take on the Brisbane Capitals, and we've gone through and had a bit of a look at the stats, and Cyclones do have that healthy 16-point lead going into things so far, but it was a 16-16 second quarter, so Capitals doing a really, really good job to prevent the Cyclones from gaining on that 16-point lead going into the first. So done a really good job. And John, let's have a quick look at the stats on the board and how things are looking so far.
Yeah, for Rockhampton, it was a pretty efficient first half of action. They were led by Shanavia Dowdell. She's got her double-double, 13 points and 10 rebounds. 6 of those are offensive. She was 5 of 11 from the field, 1 of 3 from deep. Got to the free throw line a couple times and hit 2 of 4 shots. She's joined on 13 points by Brooke Blair. Blair, 5 of 8 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. That's what she does. She shoots the ball, so Brisbane will definitely want to try and deny her that three-point shot. And that's pretty much it. You look at Ellenberg had 8, and then it's 5 points for Bogue, 4 points for Evans, and that's the scoring for Rockhampton. They did a pretty good job on the glass, 34 rebounds, 13 from the offensive end. Then you look over at Brisbane, really struggling from the field and across the board. 24.4% from the field, only 1 of 9 from 3, 6 of 14 from the free throw line. If you had one standout stat, it'd be the rebounding for Brisbane. 35 rebounds, 18 of those offensive. Unfortunately, it comes off of all their own misses, which they had quite a bit of, 10 of 40 from the field. They're led by Victoria Aldred with 7 points, and then Amy Lewis has 6. A few others got 5, like Plummer. Akila Bethel has 4. Bethel had a really tough first half, 1 of 10 from the field. So the positives for Brisbane are that I don't think they could shoot much worse than they did in that first half. So hopefully the ball starts to fall for them a little bit better, and they'll start to hopefully chip away at this deficit.
Yeah, and especially with the amount of offensive rebounds they pulled in the first half of action as well. I mean, if they can keep taking as many shots as they are, pulling the offensive rebounds and getting that second chance opportunity, they could well and truly find themselves back in this game. As we said, they went down 27-11 in the first quarter, but the second quarter was 16 apiece. So if they can keep finding that kind of form and preventing the likes of Brooke Blair, who just drained a long 3 with the swish, if they can prevent that kind of action from the Cyclones, they could get themselves back into this game a little bit more. But Blair is definitely a big threat to them. She is on 3 fouls. She's back on the floor now. But if they can take it at her and try and get her on a 4th and make her sit on the bench for a little bit, I mean, that's going to go a long way in helping them regain some of this deficit.
It certainly is, but at the end of the day, Brisbane has to get stops. And at the moment, they've been unable to consistently string together a few stops in a row. They get one here and there, but outside of that, they can't get 2, 3, 4 in a row.
Yeah, and I think their other big trouble as well is they get the stop, but then they don't capitalize down the other end. They don't take the right shot opportunity to actually capitalize from the stop that they've just worked really, really hard to get. But you're right, they do need to get 3 or 4 in a row. They need to not potentially turn the ball over like they just did then until Bethel got it back again. But they do need to string some good passages of play defensively and offensively together. They're doing one thing well at a time. They can't string a full 2 minutes worth of play together.
That would have been really nice there from Blair with the spin, but just a little wild on the layup attempt.
So we're a minute and a half into the third. Capitals yet to find a score.
It just is a bit stagnant for Brisbane at the moment as Lewis finally hits for Brisbane in the quarter, but Rocky really just sucking the defense into the paint. They're happy to pack the paint, and Brisbane hasn't really had an answer for that. They haven't been able to hit their jump shot, which is
a foul getting picked up against Taylor Evans, just clipping the side of the drive. So Capitals with it again now. So shot clock rolls down into single digits. Woodford has it. Brisbane needing to be a little bit more aggressive and finding a way to get some points on the board. We see the three-point shot go up. And the good offensive rebound again from Aldred. She goes to the bucket again and again. And that is the kind of offensive aggression that we were chasing there from the Capitals. Ball eventually going good for Plummer. down the other end, and Blair equally as aggressive on the long shot, so she's going to go line for 2, picking up the foul from Maddie Woodford. And there is a timeout on the floor here. Coach Muggeridge not happy with what he's seeing at the moment, so they're going to take a timeout, and we're going to take a quick break as well. And we'll be back with you with more QBL action shortly, presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And back with you here at NAB Stadium. Brooke Blair on the line for 2 shots for the Rockhampton Cyclones. She makes the first. And the second. So 20 points the lead again for the Cyclones in the third quarter here. We're about 3.5 minutes in. Capitals needing to string some defense together to make an offensive play. And Capitals benefiting from that little scramble there, so they're going to get the ball back on that occasion. They'll have 10 seconds to shoot coming in from the out of bounds. And that's definitely not the kind of play that the Capitals would want coming in from an inbound, straight away turning the ball over. That's not going to help them trying to break this 20-point deficit.
Oh, that's exactly right, Regan. It's just a really bad play, and those will really hurt you, and that just goes to show you where the Caps have been at today. You turn the ball over on a baseline out of bounds. It wasn't even close to a Brisbane player, that one. It hit the back of a Cyclones player, and that just goes to show you where things have been so far today for the Capitals. In saying that, they're down 18. It's not over yet. They're still kind of hanging around. They haven't been able to pull away the Cyclones, but they're very close to it.
Yeah, definitely so. It was very poor recognition from the Capitals' behalf. And again, it just goes to show that there isn't a lot of offensive aggression going on for the Capitals at the moment. You know, they're kind of stringing a couple of points together, but they're not being aggressive enough to actually get consistent stops, turnovers, get the ball back, and get more and more points on the board. So they're not doing a lot to try and benefit themselves to pull away, especially not when they leave Taylor Evans wide open on the three-point line like that as she sinks one.
Yeah, and this is a really nice stretch of play here from Rockhampton. They're leaking out defensively, so trying to push the ball and push the pace, and then Brisbane collapsing on them inside, particularly focused on Dowdell, opens things up for shooters like Evans and Blair.
And again, Capitals just not able to put some points on the board there. 3 layups and a jump shot from Maddie Woodford, all bouncing out. They just can't seem to find the lucky roll at the moment.
And then an offensive foul there. You know, if you had one positive to take away from the Brisbane game this morning, this afternoon, whatever you want to call it, is their aggressive play on the offensive boards. They're doing a great job getting second and third chance opportunities. They're just doing a really poor job converting those chances. They're shooting, it's a poor clip. They're 25% from the field, and a lot of those are easy looks at the basket, and that's the difference there. You see Rockhampton with Bogue able to finish strong on the layup.
Yeah, Capitals just aren't able to get uncontested shot opportunities at the moment. I've said it a couple of times, Cyclones' defense is just really on point here this afternoon now. And they're not making it easy for the Capitals, whereas you look down the other end as Evans gets a nice steal there. Blair on the break for the fast break opportunity as well, and she sinks it easily. Is those the kind of opportunities you aren't seeing for the Capitals at the moment? And Mugridge, he's going to call himself a timeout. Oh, sorry, that one was going to be for Marshall. So Capitals definitely needing a bit of a break as we see a 27-point deficit. So timeout on the floor. We'll take one as well quickly, but we'll be back with you shortly with more QBL action presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia. And back with you here at NAB Stadium. It's a 27-point lead for the Rockhampton Cyclones. They've got themselves in a very healthy position with 4 minutes to go in the third. So Capitals really going to need to work hard here as there's a little bit of confusion on the floor. So we're just going to restart things there. So Capitals do have a lot of work to do here, John. 27 points down. It's tough to call it this early, but the game is just about over for the Capitals. But from here on in, for the last 14 minutes of play, it's all going to be about what they can do right and what they can learn from this game.
And that's an unfortunate one there as the Capitals just fall over. Emma Reed pushing it up court and trips over her foot. Rocky through Dowdell. Jumper is too strong, so doesn't hurt too much. But really, this is the championship quarter, and Rockhampton's been pulling away. They're up, outscoring Brisbane in the quarter 17-6.
Yeah, Cyclones have been having a very good third quarter here as well, defensively especially, because they are putting a lot of pressure on the Capitals, and even though they're up by 27, they're not letting them have any easy buckets. They really do, want to win this by as much as possible, as we see an offensive foul they called against Christina Bogue. So good defensive passage of play there. Trying to work out who it was that took the charge. It was Emma Reed. So yeah, Cyclones playing a very, very good defensive game of basketball because they are making Capitals work for every single point that they've got. And of the 33 points they put on the board, I don't think maybe more than 10 have been easy. They really have had to work for almost every point that they've got on the board. And it's Rockhampton has thrown a few different looks at Brisbane, mainly in the man-to-man. They've switched to zone occasionally, but I think Brisbane at the moment, frustrating with themselves, they really want to see someone step up. So you see them everyone's trying to do something on their own a little bit here, and that's just playing right into Rockhampton's hands as well, because give Rocky the opportunity and they're going to hurt you. And that's exactly what's happening this afternoon. Brisbane has struggled all game to put the ball in the basket. Rockhampton has taken advantage of it, but they've stayed engaged the whole time defensively. They've been excellent defensively, Rockhampton, and not to put the full blame on the Capitals, because you got to give credit where credit's due. And Rocky's been very, very good this afternoon. Oh, absolutely. They've played a fantastic game of basketball, and they're probably one of the stronger defensive teams we've seen in the league, because they have been doing a really, really good job in not allowing any unmanned Capitals player to make it into the paint and get easy buckets. So they've been really good at recognizing the Capitals offense, and they've done a really good job at actually preventing those easy buckets on the inside. So a lot of the points from Capitals, they've had to work for from the outside because they're not getting a lot in the paint. Yeah, well, they're not getting a lot from outside either, Regan. Rockhampton just really shutting down the Capitals and just super efficient offensively, getting contributions from everyone. Every player, when they've had their opportunity, has taken advantage of it, and it's been a really impressive performance here from Rockhampton.
I'm surprised that the game is a 25-point game and that Brisbane only has 35 points with 2 minutes to go in the third. Frampton checks into the game for the captain, Katrina Clifford, for Rockhampton. Lewis pounding the rock for Brisbane at the moment.
Nice look there from Emma Reid. Just a little bit too strong on the three-point opportunity, but they're going to pick the ball back up out of bounds as well. The ball just getting knocked out of court by Bogue.
It's just really active hands, though, again, from Brisbane. Like I said, their standout for them has been their offensive rebound, and that's just energy, activity. They've given themselves a lot of opportunity to go for those offensive rebounds, but they're certainly attacking the glass really, really well on the offensive end.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's very rare that you see a team with more offensive rebounds than defensive rebounds in a game of basketball, but they're shooting 24 offensive rebounds and 22 defensive. So that is a really good job. And, you know, it's good recognition from the Capitals as well. They realize that they're not shooting that great percentage-wise, so they're not just standing back and hoping the ball goes in. They're crashing the boards, they're getting themselves in front of the Rocky players, and they really are fighting for those offensive rebounds. So they are doing a good job at recognizing what they need to do better, and they are working their way inside.
And Dowdell, just an absolute beast inside. She got herself so deep to the basket, really no one was going to be able to stop her. She's been really impressive as well. She wants her teammates to slow things down. There's a minute to go in the quarter. They're up 25. Dowdell's been really good. Blair's been excellent. Taylor Evans has been a great addition to this group as well. And Bogue, she's just been absolutely solid as well. Rockhampton is one of the top teams, Regan. They're sitting at 7th on the ladder at the moment, but this team can beat anybody on their day. The women's competition this season, there's I could count 3 or 4 teams that are legitimate championship contenders, and I would have to put Rockhampton in that group, Regan, based off of this performance this afternoon.
Yeah, definitely so. I think Rockhampton, if I can speak some English this morning, I think Rockhampton has had a bit of a slow start to the season, but the team that they've got together now, the way they're playing as a team, I definitely think they're championship contenders. We've commented on it numerous times throughout the game. The way that they work as a team offensively, they pass the ball. They could do no-look passes if they really wanted to, because they know how their teammates work. And as a defensive unit, they're probably one of the best single defensive units I've seen on the floor as well, because they're doing a really good job at spreading their defense out and actually preventing teams from making offensive plays. So they are absolutely championship contenders, and they've got some big names in there that can take them all the way through.
Yeah, Rockhampton's been excellent. They're going to head into the final break of action up by 28 points. It was a huge third quarter there for Rockhampton, winning that quarter 20. Oh, that's not updated. Where's my math? It was a 24-12 quarter there for Rockhampton. So really nice quarter there. They've given themselves a tremendous cushion. It is pretty much done at this point, Regan. Let's see if Brisbane has a bit more fight left in them.
Yeah, definitely so. That is the quarter time break, and we're going to take a quick break, but we're back with you for the fourth quarter of action soon. And back with you at NAB Stadium in Auckland Flower. It's the fourth quarter of action on your QBL Game of the Week between the Rockhampton Cyclones and the Brisbane Capitals. So just looking at the stat sheet in front of me, Brisbane really struggling to shoot from the field. They're only 16 from 67 from the field, shooting at 24%. But coming down the other end of the court, Rockhampton has actually taken less shots, but they're shooting at a 42% clip. So that's where your big difference is coming from. So they're shooting 26 from 62. So they've taken 5 less shots from the field, but they are much better shots. They're open and they're looking good. And that pass there about sums up the Capitals' game as a whole, unfortunately. Miscommunication and poor offense. Not a great look there from Michaela King, just going right out of bounds between 2 players. Tries to fight back for it, though, which is good to see. And then some other statistics quickly as we continue this 4th quarter of action. Dowdell having an absolutely astounding game. So she's on 19 points. Brooke Blair actually on 20 as well. So she is just in the lead. But you've also got 14 rebounds for Shanavia Dowdell. So it really is such a fantastic game from those 2 players on the floor here. And that's part of the reason why they do have this 28-point, well, now 31-point lead, as we see the young Frampton dropping a 3-bomb as well. So Cyclones getting the steal on the other end of the court now as well. So everything really is going Cyclones' favor, and this 4th quarter is no exception.
Yeah, Frampton with her second 3-pointer of the night. She's been quiet on the season, came into the weekend averaging 1.6 points and only shooting 12.5% from 3. I think those statistics will increase after this afternoon's matchup as we see Dowdell take it outside again from deep. It's all starting to fall for the Cyclones.
Yeah, it definitely is. They're really finding some form early on in this 4th quarter. 2 3-point shots nice and early, only just over a minute in. As Plummer tries to take a long bomb of her own. That one a little bit too soft, bouncing off the front of the rim. But Cyclones definitely aren't going to take it easy now. It is their last game of the weekend, so they're going to keep fighting all the way through to the end. They're going to see if they can get themselves a nice clean Hungy on the board, as we see a great offensive move on the inside with Bogue finding the easy layup underneath.
Yeah, that was an excellent creative play there from Brooke Blair, driving baseline, faking the pass one way, tossing it the other, and Bogue had an easy 2.
Nice look there from King, just a little bit too strong, bouncing off the back of the rim. As we see Evans turn around, jump shot, a little bit too far to the right, not quite on target.
And we'd be remiss to mention that Rockhampton doing this all without Erin Ellenberg. She's still on the bench. I don't know, we didn't get an update on where she was at and what occurred. I think they recognize the fact, though, that they pretty much have this game in hand, so they're going to give her a breather. But Ellenberg is also another difference maker. They seem to just have a lot of weapons again this season, Rockhampton, and Ellenberg's certainly one of those. They're doing a good job, and particularly Blair. Blair's kind of slid into that point guard spot with Ellenberg on the bench, and she's done an excellent job playing the 1 spot.
Yeah, well, exactly it. So she's only played 15 minutes in the game. She scored 8 points, got 3 rebounds and 4 assists. So she did have a really, really good efficiency for a short time on the floor. So doing a really, really great job it was Ellenberg. So I think Coach Muggeridge just recognizing the fact that, they've got this game in the bag, so might as well rest her up while they can, because they're probably going to have some big clashes coming up in the next couple of weekends. So they'll want Ellenberg to be well rested coming into those.
Oh, they definitely do. And after this weekend, Rockhampton's run home, they don't have to leave Rockhampton, so they're really in a good position to continue the surge towards that finals, potentially make a move up the ladder and potentially get into that home final, which is a huge advantage for them at the Crater. The Crater, you've been there, Regan. You know what it's like. It's a really loud place where people are right on top of you. It can be an intimidating place to play, also to stream for yourself.
Yeah, definitely so. Rockhampton is unquestionably one of the top stadiums in Queensland to play, to referee, to stream. It is just an amazing venue all around. So if Rockhampton can get themselves a home quarter or semi-final, they're going to go a long way in getting themselves towards a championship, because that stadium does so much for them, because it is just such an electrifying atmosphere.
Yeah, Laura Way got herself in a bit of trouble there, flipped one up, winds up now with Frampton. They've got 8 seconds to go. Frampton loses it. Bogue recovers. Dowdell will fire at top of the key 3. That's too strong and rolls out of bounds. So a little sloppy there, but Rockhampton quite comfortably ahead by 36 with about 6:30 to go in the game.
Yeah, Rockhampton definitely going to take this one home nice and comfortably. Just taking things a little bit easier now, but still wanting to get some points on the board. Capitals, also taking things a little bit easier by the looks of it as well. Emma Reid, that was Aldred taking a bit of a jump shot there. A little bit too soft, hitting the front of the rim. As Woodford now drives right, hands off again to Aldred.
That was Grigg on that attempt, missing the baseline jump shot. Again, though, Brisbane getting the offensive rebound and another opportunity to get some points.
3 seconds on the shot clock. Woodford going to need to go to work with a nice spin move inside with the right-hand finger roll. That was a good look there from Woodford.
Yeah, Maddie Woodford hasn't had the type of game she would have liked, but she's definitely not letting it affect her effort. And then Blair gets called for the offensive rebound. A little aggressive there with the forearm to the chest of Maddie Woodford.
Yeah, I think Woodford, this is probably one of her quietest games that she's had throughout the season. She came in with a quite high shooting percentage and average as well, but she's come into tonight's game. She's only got 4 points on the board. She has done really well on the board though. She's pulled six rebounds, of which all of those were offensive. So she has done a really good job at recognizing the weakness on the shooting percentage, crashing the boards, and getting the offensive rebounds. So she has been doing a really good job in that area. But, she did come into the game averaging 10.7 points per game and 5.3 rebounds per game, shooting at 50%. Tonight just hasn't been working in her favor. She's only 2 from 9 from the field with 4 points. So it has been definitely a tough match for everyone on the Capitals team.
And part of that reason is Shanavia Dowdell, as again she gets the easy 2. It's going to be a runaway victory here for Rockhampton. Regan. I'm just trying to pull up their run home because I did speak to Coach Muggeridge before the game, and he told me that they're home for the rest of the way. So I just want to check to see who they have coming up and who's going to be visiting them up in Rockhampton these next few weeks. After today, they're going to head back home. They've got Toowoomba in round 12, a huge matchup with the Townsville Flames in round 13. Ipswich up to Hegvold. To take on the Cyclones in round 14, and then they finish off the regular season at home versus the Southwest Metro Pirates. There's a handful of tough ones there. It's not going to be easy for Rockhampton, but they can get some favorable results. They're playing teams ahead of them on the ladder at home, so if they can come away with the win, not only does it help them in the win column, it hurts the teams ahead of them in the standings. In that loss column, they may be able to make a move up into that top 4 to host the home final.
Yeah, that round 15 game at Hevgold Stadium in Rockhampton against Southwest in particular is going to be incredibly interesting because, as we know, Southwest has been having an outstanding season with a lot of big names on their lineup, but by round 15, who knows where they're going to have their full squad. Having such a talented team, a lot of the players do have other commitments outside of the QBL. So if Southwest goes even 1 or 2 of their stud players down into Hevgold, that stadium can really do a lot against them. So that'll be a very, very interesting matchup.
It definitely could be. It's going to be a great matchup. Southwest, they recruited for that, though, Regan, knowing ahead of time that they were going to have to fill some gaps along the way. But you take a look at their ladder and the QBL women's standing, and as it stands now, Townsville at the top of the ladder, the 12-1 record. Southwest 10-2, Ipswich at 10-2. So those are the 3 top teams in the women's competition. They're going to be traveling to Rockhampton to take on this Cyclones group. Rockhampton currently sits at 7th on the ladder with an 8-5 record. So they could potentially make their way up the ladder. They're going to need some help, but if they can take care of this one like they will, they're going to get the win today. But if they can take care of their home court, as you always want to do as a team, you always want to win at home. They may help themselves, and if they can get some favorable results from some of the other games with the teams ahead of them, who knows what could happen. But it's going to be a really, really interesting postseason in the women's competition. We alluded to it earlier, Regan, but you got teams like this Rockhampton group. You've got the Townsville Flames. You've got the Southwest Metro Pirates. You've got the Brisbane, the Southern District Spartans. Ipswich is a team that's more than capable of taking down anyone. You got the Sunshine Coast Phoenix. I just named 6 teams, and that I really do think that all can claim to have legitimate chances of winning a championship Recently, in the last few years, it's really been only a couple of teams that legitimately had a shot at it.
Yeah.
But this year, it's really up in the air. And for me, the women's competition is really wide open. I think the finals on the women's side is just going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You named 6 teams, but we've also got to throw the North Gold Coast Seahawks in there as well. I mean, they've been having, coming into the QBL season, they've been having a great run as well. I mean, they're 8-5, currently sitting in 6th place. So they're really the top 7 teams. Who knows how the ladder's going to end up, because a lot of the teams are incredibly close to each other on the leaderboard. You've got Southwest, Ipswich, and the Sunny Coast Phoenix all on 10 wins apiece, with the Southern District Spartans on 9, North Gold Coast Seahawks 8, with Rockhampton on 8 as well. So there is barely anything that splits the top 7 teams at the moment, outside of the Townsville Flames, well and truly in front on 12 victories so far. So that top 7 leaderboard could change at any moment. All it takes is a nice favourable win, for example, for the Cyclones at home. Southwest, Ipswich may drop 1 or 2 on the road if they've got a tough opponent. This leaderboard is definitely not set, and to be honest, Johnny, who knows where we're going to end up for the finals, because it really could be anywhere.
It could be anywhere, and that's just goes to show you the focus that clubs have put on the women's programs as well. A lot of teams have recruited really, really well, developing some talent, local talent, and just really focusing on the women's game, the women's competition. In the years that I've been covering the QBL, this is probably the strongest competition, top to bottom, that I've seen in the 4 or 5 years that I've been following the QBL. I can't speak on anything really historically before that, Regan, but we will have the women's finals as well. We'll certainly have the first quarterfinal round. We'll have a semifinal for you, and then we will cover every game of the women's grand final series as well. So it's going to be more exciting and a continuation of the coverage that we provide to you each and every week throughout the QBL season.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be one of the best final series we've ever had, I think. Every single game in that final series is going to come down to the wire, because there are so many teams that are hard to split at the moment. So, like I said, Johnny, I'm really excited that I get to travel with the women's competition and follow them wherever those quarters, semis, and finals go, because they're going to be great games no matter who ends up in that top 8.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I'm very excited for the women's competition, and I think last year it was great to see the Spartans, and it was an impressive run, seeing them undefeated. But it was almost disappointing in the sense, because a lot of the teams went into those matchups and probably they're going to go hard, but it was almost inevitable that they were going to drop it to that really super strong Spartan squad. And this year, anyone can beat anybody, particularly when we get to the finals time. So it's going to lead to a really exciting postseason in the women's competition. And the men's competition is very similar, Regan. You have on the men's side of things, there's not really one team that really jumps out at you. You got the defending reigning champion Townsville Flames, but the Heat. They've already dropped a couple of games. They dropped that one that we covered a few weeks back to Logan. They lost one at home earlier in the season, so they're certainly vulnerable. And the final series in both sides, it's just going to be really, really exciting. The QBL has been so good in 2018, and we still have a few weeks to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said as well, Johnny, compared to last season, teams have obviously done a very, very good job at recruiting. Because I'm just looking at the 2017 ladder now, and you've got teams like the Sunshine Coast Phoenix that are down in 12th position out of 14 teams, and they've worked their way into the top 6 at the moment. So teams have done a really good job, and Southwest Metro is another example. They were an 8-9 record last season, and yet they're 10 from 2 with still 5 more rounds in it. And there's a couple of other teams that are in a very, very similar boat. So it has definitely gone to show that teams have put a lot of emphasis on the women's program this year, and they're willing to spend a little bit of money in recruiting in this women's competition, because it is a league that is incredibly beneficial to women's sport and women's basketball, and it's really great to see that benefiting. And hopefully this season is a really good lead into the 2019 season, and teams continue putting money and sponsorship and recruitment into the women's competition.
Yeah, it's been an excellent 2018 season, and we're only in round 12, Regan, so we got a little while to go before the regular season's finished. There's a bank shot home there from Morrow. Pretty much going to wrap things up, I think, for for the scoring, unless the Caps can get another bucket on the the scoreboard, but it was a really impressive performance from Rockhampton Regan. They led from start to finish, and they really stamped themselves, in my opinion, as a championship contender. Coach Muggeridge really excited with the way that they played. He thought they had a good opportunity to win the game on Friday night. He thought that they lost it more so than what the Spartans won that one. Then they respond pretty well last night with the comeback win against North Gold Coast, and then absolutely throttle Brisbane here from start to finish, winning by 37 points, 89-52.
Yeah, definitely so. It was a really, really great performance out here from Rockhampton. Maybe they were just putting on a show for us. I don't know, Johnny. But after seeing the way they played here tonight, we've only had the score sheets and stats to go by up until this point in time. But seeing them out on the floor, they really are a team that's going to be, they've got a lot to be reckoned with. So they're going to have a fantastic end to the season with that home streak. But just looking at some final stats before we wrap things up, before the awesome men's game that we got coming up, Johnny. So looking at the home team, the Brisbane Capitals on the score sheet, you've got Neves and Lewis both on 10 points apiece, shooting at an overall clip of 23% across the team. They were the only two players that ended up in double digits, but the one big thing we do have to shout out is 31 offensive rebounds, 29 defensive for a total of 69. They did have a good start to the game with only 5 turnovers leading into halftime, but they did turn that around a little bit in the second. They did go down to 15 turnovers, so a little bit of tiredness seeping into that second half, and they did start turning over the ball a little bit more.
And then you look at Rockhampton, led by Shenavia Dowdell. She was really impressive this afternoon. Had the double-double at the half. She finished with 26 points, 17 rebounds, 6 of which were offensive. She also had 3 assists and 3 blocks. She shot it at a 52% clip and hit 2 of 6 from 3. Blair also hitting the 20-point mark. She had finished with 25 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. She was 5 of 7 from 3. Blair was a really impressive weapon for Rockhampton this afternoon, and they did it all without Ellenberg on the floor. She only played the 15 minutes in the first half. Let's hope it's not a really serious injury. If you add some Ellenberg to that group that finished so strong, again, Rockhampton really impressive. But that's going to wrap things up for us here at Regan. I just want to remind everyone, next week the game will feature the Ipswich Force versus the Gold Coast Rollers. That is the round 12 game on the 14th of July, Saturday. It's the women at 5 p.m., followed by the men at 7 p.m.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's going to be another fantastic game of basketball as well. The Rollers having a really tough loss last night. I was talking to the coaches, so very, very tough loss last night for them. So they're going to want to come out firing against that Ipswich team. But that does wrap things up here for this afternoon's game. But stick around for the men's game coming up for you in just over 20 minutes. As always, I've been Regan Baker. Thanks again, John Guana, being my co-commentator. Always a pleasure. Chris Sieber on the camera. James Bowman down in Sydney for all of your graphics works and all the assistance you give us here. So that wraps things up for your QBL Women's Game of the Week, presented by Nothing But Net Media and Live Sport Australia.